Well done, Dano. And can I say to all you farmers here today, it's been 40 years since you've been forced to march on Parliament House to protest against the federal government. And to those from Western Australia that have come the furthest, those that are taking the most pain out of this government, can I say thank you. You've come with me, Davies, a good mate of mine, who's led Western Australia before and will help do it again back here in Canberra. Let me say to you all, I'm going to give you a commitment right here today. The first bill that I bring back to Parliament as the next Agriculture Minister is to repeal the live sheep export ban out of Western Australia. The first international trip I take goes to Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Jordan to show them the respect that we should show our great international trading partners, that we'll give them the food security they deserve and we'll trust them with the best product in the world coming from Western Australia. We're not going to rip off another 450 gigalitres out of the consumptive pool so that your food costs go up and the productive capacity of the East Coast goes away. We're going to return a Murray-Darling Basin plan that shows some common sense and uses science and technology rather than buybacks. That's the commitment we bring to you. We're going to give you an ag visa that we promised you and started to deliver. And we're going to make sure that the PALM scheme works for you. We're going to make sure you have the tools that you deserve and the commitments we lived up to. That's what a common sense national Liberal government will bring to Canberra and give to you. I'm going to make sure that there will be no Scope 3 emissions on you having to report to your banks about your emissions profile so that they can actually sit there and tick a box under ESG. We need to get out of your life, not into it. Above all, this is about getting out of your life. And particularly when you talk about the wind turbines, solar panels and transmission lines, it's tearing up our food security and pushing up everyone's food prices. We've got a sensible energy policy that shouldn't involve your livelihoods. It shouldn't take it away. It should create jobs in regional Australia, not tear them up. And we commit to you to have a sensible energy policy that leaves you alone and makes sure that regional Australia can grow and have the jobs that most people in the cities dream of. That's a common sense solution we're bringing to you.
He has little to be proud of when it comes to the Murray-Darling Jew.
The Prime Minister says that he's made 23 trips to Western Australia. Not once has he turned up to Katanning and faced up to those livelihoods that he's prepared to rip away. He hasn't got the guts to look you in the eye and tell you what he's prepared to do with you. If he believes so much in what he's doing, then have the courage of his conviction to stand here, look you in the eye and explain it. But he hasn't got the guts to do that, nor has his minister. What we'll say is what we're going to do. A Dutton Littleproud government is simply going to look you in the eye, tell you how it is, and get on with the job. That's our commitment to you. That's what we're going to do if we're elected. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. David, this one's for you. You and I both spend a fair bit of time on social media together, so you might have a bit of an inkling about what I'm going to ask. Well, you might not.
Follow social media.
Well, we all know that's not true. So whenever I ask a question about David Littleproud on social media, I get told that he's owned by the mining lobby, which might be rude, might be true, I don't know. So we know mining is important to Australia. It's one of our biggest money earners, I guess. If it ever comes down to it and you have to choose between agriculture and mining, what are the Nationals going to do?
Well, I'll put my record as a former agriculture minister, and even to your last question, I actually listened to farmers and made sure the reforms that I put in place, even through the live sheep industry, when people wanted to shut it down, we didn't take a knee-jerk reaction and ban it. We reformed it. And that was because all live cattle, we actually sat there and worked through it. So yeah, we want to listen. We'll continue to listen. And that's where good policy comes from. You know what? The best policy I ever put in place was out of a shearing shed in Western Australia. A cocky asked me why we didn't have the same definition of lamb as New Zealand. And we were able to change that because he raised it with me and we could do it in a matter of months. That's what politicians should do. And that's my record. I'm proud to stand by mine. I'll put it against Murray Watts and Julie Collins every day of the week. Let me give you 6-4 on that. There is a place for mining, there is a place for coexistence, but we've got to make sure that our food security is looked after. That's the right of way that we're prepared to give. That's why we stand here with you. And it's not about having transmission lines, solar panels and wind turbines that take up all your landscape, that take away your food security. That's the common sense solution. It's not coming from me. It's coming from these people out here. And we're prepared to challenge the status quo. We're about to put the biggest energy policy in front of the Australian people ever. Because we've got the courage of our conviction to say you shouldn't wear the cost again. I'll tell you that's because we listen, and whatever social media says, I don't really give a rat's.
Keep getting in my road.
Thank you very much, David. I wouldn't have expected anything less. Now,
Sweden began to come out of here to front the farmers out selling their water. And you will not come out of that farmer house. And we screamed your name out for over 4 hours.
Yep.
So, I don't believe one word to say.
Well, let me tell you what I did for the Murray-Darling. Let me tell you, you got the Northern Basin Review. We saved 70 gigalitres being taken out of the Northern Basin. My own home community was going to lose that. I was going to lose Dirranbandy. I was going to lose Gundawindi. I was going to lose St George. I got the sustainable diversion limits, which meant we didn't have to do buybacks. We actually were able to recover the balance of the water out of infrastructure. That's the common sense solution I brought. And the other thing was, it was akin to getting peace to the Middle East. We got a 450 neutrality test agreed with all the states. That meant that 450 that's been thrown on you, that moment by this mob, was gone. So I'll put my record every day of the week about what I did in making sure farmers were looked after. Let me tell you, I don't support buybacks. I've seen the consequences in Deering and Gundawindi and St George, so I'm happy to stand here every day of the week and tell you what I did as a water minister and the reforms I put in place that has meant more people are sitting in regional Australia, more businesses are still surviving, rather than this lazy buyback option. I'll put it against any water minister ever in this nation's history.
thank you for that commitment to agriculture, Ms. David. So now I'd like the politicians, you could probably leave the stage if you like, but I would like you to stay because our next couple of speakers have something really important that they would like to say to you.